If you hear a small noise in the background, just know it's about 90 degrees outside and I don't have AC. Alright, it's Sunday. But before we get to the sermon, I do have a few things that I want to say. The sermon won't be in this video. We'll start with the first topic. Demonolatry and practice. So, if you've read the Infernal Gospel, it is deliberately stated that in our practice, right, on page 35 of the Infernal Gospel, atheistic Satanists will be expected to summon and consort with demonic spirits. This is a vital part of theistic Satanism. When a traditional Satanist performs a prayer, it is believed that the devils of hell are bearing witness to the words. It is a personal, sacred experience. The reason why I quote directly from the gospel is because I'm in support. As a minister, I'm in support of other authors and other writers. I don't mean to come into this as somebody that has fresh and better views on our religion, right? It serves you better to understand the foundation we all walk on. And this is one of many. As it's said in the gospel, in the Infernal Gospel, practice, theistic practice requires the work of other demons and spirits. It requires you to study and understand what you're doing, as far as knowing where you're getting the material from, where you're getting the information from, of course. You don't want to just Google the information, although sometimes it helps, especially if you're still confused. But try to find references and sources from credited authors like S. Connolly. That's who I've been reading so far. And even though I don't have an expansive or immersive history with theistic work, I'm still learning. As a minister, you start to understand that ministry isn't about knowing everything. I'm a student first. So without getting too derailed, demonolatry practice. Over the weekend, I found a spirit that I found a candidate. I found that I wanted to work with. And I did. I felt, however, that I was distracted most of the part because I ventured outside and I went to Symbiotic Square, but unfortunately there was still a lot of people outside at that time at like 9 o'clock. It doesn't get dark here until 10 or 11. So people out here are usually not inside their homes, especially without AC. These people thrive outside and in their parks. That's their safe haven. That's where they get a chance to cool off. So I didn't blame them, but I wasn't able to find a place of sincere solitude, but I made do with what I had. I brought my guitar, I brought my offerings, things like that. But it wasn't a deep, sacred experience like I wanted it to be, because I felt so self-conscious and I felt so, watched, and I don't know, I had this attitude that I would go to the spirit, that I would go to an ideal place where it would reside. And ultimately, that would have been a graveyard for the spirit of my choice, but the graveyards at that hour were closing. So I chose something a little older, something with age, um, and I went out there and I did my best. But again, focus seemed to be what I lacked and what disrupted the experience from being as immersive as it could have been. Um, I wasn't really comfortable physically or mentally, so you have to take those things into account, right? And this goes into my third point: focus. So not only is a immersive environment important with working, but a mind that's been trained, a mind that's been conditioned to focus on one task at a time, to not be so stimulated. And I'm not, when I say conditioned, I'm not, I know it may seem like it's something that might take some time, but realistically, it only takes about a week for you to, how do I say it? Remove that high flood of dopamine in your brain that's making you all scattered, right? It's safe to say that I didn't take that week. It's been a week of massive distraction and fatigue for me anyway. So even when I try to do simple things like read, my mind doesn't want to have it. It wants to jump topics and find the next interesting thing. So before you start, I would just suggest to take at least a day where you're not scrolling, where you're not jumping from thing to thing, where you have reminded your brain, hey, it's absolutely okay to be bored. It's absolutely okay to just be still. And that will help you in retaining information and being way more immersive in your practice. I feel like since I've been alone, since I don't have my family here as much, I kind of block out the periods of isolation that I do have by being distracted. And it's not always good. I need to get back into reading. I need to get back into just being still, being present. Nothing crazy. Um, I'm not rejecting technology or anything like that, but it's meant to have a leash tied to it. It's time to bring out that leash again. You know what I mean? It's time to bring out that leash again, and if that's what it requires, then that's what's gonna happen. At least an hour here, an hour there of silence throughout your day goes a long way to just bring yourself back, remind your brain that, hey, this is an hour of peace. This is where you're going to rest. And I think that's immensely important when it comes to working, when it comes to practicing. And again, it doesn't take weeks or months, but the benefits are there and they increase over time. The more you allow yourself to just not do anything in those mundane moments when you're cooking or when you're on the toilet or when you're in the shower, just let those moments be moments of awareness and stillness. Allow yourself to just sit there. Allow your brain to do whatever it wants to do. And if you find yourself carrying your phone everywhere you go, that's a flag right there that you need to just take a moment, pause, and be like, do I really need my phone in this moment? Most times, no. I do find myself doing that a lot. And it creates a dependency. It creates a stimulation for more and more and more. And then I don't read as much. Then I don't focus as easily. So it's only natural as a Satanist to take the reins of your life, to take the reins of your focus and consciousness back, to take that back so you can excel not only in just practice, but in intimate moments with other people. So where your mind is a little more conditioned for the task at hand, which is just being still.